knits. Today's video is my July recap of how I am doing using my yarn stash this year, how I am doing with my Make 9 boards, and how I am doing using up a great bit of dishcloth cotton leftovers. So those are some things that I've been focusing on this year. Just a little bit of background. Towards the end of 2023, I was feeling very overwhelmed by my yarn stash. I have this yarn cabinet over here, which has a lot of yarn. I have yarn in cupboards down below. I have a dresser full of yarn, and I have one plastic tote full of yarn too. So it's just gotten to the point where it was feeling very overwhelming. And so I decided to really focus in 2024 on trying to use yarns in my stash. You know, so many yarns I had bought with the intention of making beautiful projects, and maybe those plans changed, but I still have, you know, some beautiful yarns that I would like to use. And so I thought I would be really intentional this year about how I could use yarns from stash. So Amy of Noble Character Crafts hosts the Make 9 Mal, which is where you create a grid of 9 projects you would like to work on or maybe complete for 2024. And I could not limit myself to 3 boards, so I could not limit myself to 1 board, so I have 3 boards. And the 3 boards are a whip board, works in progress, so things that I've brought over from previous years. One is a new projects board, so things that I identified that I really wanted to make that were new projects for me this year. And then a board strictly for sock patterns because I love to knit socks. And so in this video today, I will share how I am doing on those Make 9 boards, and I will share how many skeins I used from my stash in July and how many skeins came in the month of July, and how I'm doing with that dishcloth making. Before 2024 started, I got, I believe this was a set of binders on Amazon, and it is linked in the show notes down below. So I will have, I still have a spare one of these, but I liked this size. So I purchased this binder from Amazon, and then I purchased a knitting journal, printable pages from Etsy, also linked down below. And that template gave you many choices for pages you could use. A very, very helpful tool for knitters. But I am using calendar pages. So January page, you know, calendar pages like that. Back to January. Stash in and stash out recorder, and that really is what drew me to this planner, being able to track your yarn in and yarn out in a visual way by coloring those in. I just think that's kind of fun. And then also I am using a knitting journal page, which is just a blank page but with some cute graphics there, which, you know, just makes it kind of fun. So each month I write the month in, so I only do 1 month at a time. So I write the dates in the month. I record when I podcast, or I record different things that come up. And then I identify projects that came with me. So in January, I identified works in progress that I wanted to work on this year. And then at the end of the month, I color in the circles for yarns in and yarns out of my stash. So that's how I am using it. So I am going to go through the month of July. I will talk about what projects I completed, and I'll include pictures with that. Then I'm going to talk about my Make 9 boards and dishcloth making. So we will get started. Okay, so for the month of July, I completed one pair of socks. This was a pair of socks for summer sock camp. It was the Rose City Rollers. I really enjoyed knitting this pattern. It was pretty quick, and I really enjoyed the fit of this pattern. So I know I will make this pattern again. Yeah, so I have made a few pair of socks this summer for summer sock camp. They were not on my sock board. So I'm thinking in 2025, when I make a sock board, I might want to include summertime socks as well. So that's just kind of something I'm thinking about for the future, but I digress. So July, one pair of socks. I completed the Fiddly Bits Cowl by Jana Pihota. This is something that was on my needles from May through July. It happens to be on my Make 9 new project board. I finished the lined mittens. That pattern is called the Karen Double Layer Mittens, also on my Make 9, and that is a project or a pattern that I have wanted to make for several years. So I'm really glad I included that on my Make 9 board, and I am so happy with the finished mittens. So very happy to have completed that this year. And then I completed the Galway Christmas stocking, another project on my Make 9 new board. So those three projects were from my Make 9 new board, and I will include a picture of this here. So you can see my new projects board. I have completed 8 of the 9 squares, which feels really, really good. That is the only board that got worked on this month. I'll just show those other boards really quickly. My sock board, I have completed 5 of the 9 projects shown. And then on my whip board, I have also completed 5 of the 9 projects on there. So with those 3 boards, 9 times 3 is 27, I have completed 18 projects. So I'm very happy about that. Really excited to have cranked out 3 Make 9 projects or finished them in the month of July. That feels really, really good. As far as my sock board and whip board, I think I don't know if I will complete. As far as the sock board, there are still some patterns on there that I would like to make. I don't know if I will finish. I mean, I would like to make all of them. I don't know that those will be completed this year. I'm just not sure, because I have some gift socks to make too. So that's in addition to those socks on the board. In my whip board, 2 of those projects are Scrappy blankets that will be worked on in the month of December. So those will not be completed, but those will be worked on in the month of December. And then probably next month, I will talk about the remaining 2 items on that board, which I think are the Pike Stout poncho and then an Afghan. Yep, an Afghan project, cable Afghan. So I think as we start thinking about fall more, I will talk about that in next month's recap. So for the month of July, with those projects, I will share what yarn came out of my stash. So the Fiddly Bits was all Scrappy yarn, but it did make a small dent in my scrap yarn dresser. So that was fun. It used, I think, 212 grams of yarn, which was a good bit of yarn to use in that cowl. But for skeins out, I have 6 skeins out, and I'll include another picture here. So one is the Rose City Roller Socks that was made with Hedgehog fibers. The Galway Christmas Stocking used 1 skein of yarn that was by Fence Post Fibers. Excuse me. And then the Mittens actually used 4 skeins. The skeins, or the yarn I used, was Debbie Bliss Baby Cashmerino, and it came in 50-gram skeins. So there was some leftovers from that, but I definitely needed 2 skeins of each color to make those mittens. So 4 skeins. So a total of 6 skeins out for the month of July, which I'm really happy with. I felt like the month of July went by super fast. I mean, it really just zipped by. So I'm really happy with the project I was able to complete and that I got 6 skeins of yarn out. But did I bring any yarn in the month of July? Well, if you have watched the last 2 episodes of my podcast, you know that yes, indeed, I have brought some yarn in. So I have the pink and green Emma's yarn that I'm using to make the vacation socks that came from my friend Lois. I have the Jack and Sally sock set that came from my friend Candy. And those were birthday gifts from friends. I won a skein of cotton yarn from participating in the Back Porch Fiber Company make-along, which I still need to talk about dishcloths. And then my husband Jeff, for my birthday, gave me a gift card to Lion Brand Yarn because there was a sweater that I really want to make. And 7 skeins of yarn are for that. So 10 skeins of yarn came into my stash. So this is the first month that I have had more come in than go out. But it's okay. I have not bought yarn this year. I don't know if you count Jeff buying me yarn or the gift card. I have not purchased yarn this year. The yarn that has come in has either been from gifts or make-alongs, generous gifts from friends. I will say, you know, that me not buying yarn, and I never had the intention that I would not buy any yarn this year. It just so happens that that is what has happened so far. But I will say that when I do get yarn, like this month, my birthday month, July, it is so special. I appreciate that yarn so much. I think back to the past when I would, you know, buy pretty yarns. I would see pretty yarns. I wouldn't necessarily have a project in mind, but I would buy a beautiful skein of yarn. But I was buying, you know, several skeins a month. Yeah, several skeins a month. And so I don't think I really appreciated those. I mean, they're beautiful. I love my yarn collection. But this year, as yarn comes in, I am just really appreciating it so much more. So I guess I am grateful for the yarn that has come in. Yeah, I'm just very grateful. So while I did have more skeins in than out in the month of July, I just feel blessed by friends and family for gifting me with yarn for my birthday. And I am just going to continue to use my skeins of yarn in the coming months and coming years. Let's get back a little bit to dishcloths now. For dishcloths this month, I completed 6 of them. So one was the Garden Washcloth by Emily Clawson. And then 5 for the same pattern, the Corner to Corner Moss Stitch Dishcloth by Agat Rottman. So working through that dishcloth cotton, that feels good. Still lots of scraps to go, but that's okay. This can, you know, I think at the beginning of the year when I looked in my drawer, I was thinking I could really bring it way down. And if I was only knitting and crocheting dishcloths and nothing else, I know I could make that cotton yarn disappear. But I just love making all of the different things, and so that's fine. It will be an ongoing process, and it's going to be really fun doing that. Let me share with you what my plans are now for the month of August. So I sat down today. This is actually July 31st. And in my knitting journal, the journal page for August, I wrote my whips coming over from July. I have 3 active whips right now. So the vacation socks, Aunt Gail's birthday socks, those are the patterned with the active yarn, if you watched the last podcast. And then the hat that I just cast on, it's the Hot Springs Willow hat. And I shared that it reminded me of a vintage bowl my mom has or had, the melamine bowl. So 3 projects that came over from July. So my goal for the month of August is to finish all 3 of those whips. Yep, all 3 of those whips. I would like to swatch for and begin crocheting on the Chantilly top. So that's all the 7 skeins that came in the month of July. I would really like to work on that, especially when it's going to be hot here, probably August and September. I think if I can get that done, I would still get some use. The birthday yarn that came in, the Jack and Sally, Nightmare Before Christmas, I would love to begin working on socks for my daughter-in-law, Kelsey. And then the Queensland cotton yarn that came in as part of as my prize from the Back Porch Fiber Company, I would like to make some dishcloths with that cotton. And I haven't decided yet what pattern I want to use. I imagine I can get at least 2, if not 2.5 dishcloths with that cotton. So I'm trying to decide, do I want to do a knitted dishcloth? Do I want to do a crochet dishcloth? So I'm still thinking about that. But I would like to use that yarn in the month of August too. In parentheses, after those goals, I have to cast on the final project on the Make 9 board, which is that little cowl. Let me just reach over here. I have a couple skeins of this yarn that I had won from a yarn store in Omaha a couple years ago. And so I would like to use that. This happens to be the school colors for the high school in town. So I think that would be a really fun thing to use that for. And so that final project from the Make 9 board, and then maybe an additional pair of socks from the sock board. So we'll see if we could get, or if I could get started with that. So those are kind of my goals for the month of August. This is my final month on vacation. I am a teacher. I teach piano at the college in our town, and I teach piano lessons to some elementary age children at the school down the road from us. And so things are going to start being really, really busy towards the end of August, beginning of September. So I really want to focus and get some of these things done. We will see what I get accomplished this month. But it's always fun to see what I get up to and what things I accomplish from my list. It's just really fun making the list. So I think that is all I have to share with you today. So thank you for being here and following along on my using my stash journey, my Make 9 boards, dishcloth making. I appreciate all of you with your words of encouragement. I'd love to hear how you are doing using your yarn stash. Are you using your yarn stash? Are you having fun adding to your yarn stash? That's okay too. Do you have make 9 boards or lists of projects that you would like to make in the year 2024? How are you doing with those? I would love to hear from you. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel. I'll be back real soon with another podcast episode. Take care. Bye-bye.